So the first episode is simple enough. The gang is once again supposedly gonna separate, which they have already hinted at like twice now. This is now the third time. So Austin decides to go to military school, and he's about to, get his haircut buzzed or whatever, because that's like a big part of his personality. It's a whatever episode and a whatever start to the season. Episode 2 is about Austin having to work at a mattress store, his parents' mattress store. So to get out of it, he decides to find a different passion because he's currently not allowed to sing because of Jimmy banning him from singing. It's a fine episode. There's some funny jokes here and there, but it's whatever. In the third episode of the show, they open a music school and they completely redesign the store. I guess the dad's just like completely fine with it. He's just like, they can do whatever they want. So from now on, the show is a music store, even though it was kind of a music store anyway. The fourth episode is a typical Disney plot where it turns out one of the friends isn't going to graduate. And of course, you probably already guessed it, it's Austin. And they have to help him get enough points to graduate so he can graduate with all of them. It's a fine episode. Episode 5 is kind of mean. It's just about a student who's not really good at music, and her sister is really rude to her. And even Allie's kind of given up on her a little bit, and Austin is throughout the whole episode. But they decide to try and teach her anyway, and they end up helping her. Episode 6 has two characters named Billy and Bobby that are played by Dove Cameron and her boyfriend from Liv and Maddie, Diggy. I don't know the actor's real name. Um, I just find that really weird. I'm not going to go on like a huge tangent or anything, but I find it really weird to hire two actors that are dating in one show that's currently airing at the time, and they're still dating in that show, I believe, at that time frame. They end the show being together. To hire them in this show as Billy and Bobby, who are siblings, just kind of icky. I didn't really see them as their characters from Liv and Maddie. They did seem different enough, and they were fun to watch, but I don't know why they made them brother and sister. They could have just made them friends or had them date in this show as different characters. But it's just kind of weird to me. The episode itself is kind of fun. They turn out to be like this rival music store that's about to open up, so they're trying to ruin Austin and Allie's music store's reputation, but they're able to get back at them and get them to break up and ruin their career. Just what a get back from Austin and Allie. Oh, I completely forgot to mention, like, the first episode of the show has Des and his girlfriend break up off screen. And then episode 7, the one I'm about to talk about, which is why I remembered, is Des and his girlfriend getting back together. Like 7 episodes in, they just randomly get them back together after they broke them up off screen. They decide to tell us that, it was like a misunderstanding, and that's how they broke up. It's stupid. And then you know how they had that big episode during the season 3 finale or season 2 finale? I think it was season 3. I don't know. Where they had like Trish get with her boyfriend and finally get to meet him in person and go to prom together, and they seemed to be doing pretty happy. He even came there on crutches while injured and wanted to surprise her. Well, apparently they broke up off screen too. But he does not come back. Instead, Trish later gets with somebody else, which I will talk about later. Episode 8, Austin still wants to perform, and we find out that he's been performing in secret as a country singer who just sings Austin songs. And he hasn't told anybody but Allie, because Trish and Des are surprised when he takes off his disguise. She even had low-key insulted him at the start, saying that this guy sings Austin songs better than Austin does. Of course, like, the part of this episode, though, is that Jimmy finds out and he gets in trouble. But They end up signing a random girl that we will never see again to Jimmy's label, and that makes him happy, and he lets Austin start to sing again. The next episode is them teaching some kids how to, do music or whatever. And one of them is played by Max Austin, the same kid from Stuck in the Middle. I don't believe he shows up again after this episode, but every other student has a few more episodes. I think he might have showed up one more time and didn't even have any speaking lines. But there's a girl and a kid here that shows up many more times after this. Episode 10 was like really awful. It was just about how they're doing the whole Allie can't dance thing again, but she needs to dance for this performance. So Trish and the gang decide to just fucking cancel her performance for her and lie to her and tell her that they canceled on her. Which, of course, does not lead well because she decides to confront the people and say, "Why did you cancel my performance?" And they're like, "We didn't. We don't know what you're talking about." And she's understandably pissed at them. And they see her dance really well and they give a half assed apology and they're all friends again. Not a fan of that episode. Episode 11 is bizarrely enough a crossover with Casey Undercover without Casey or her parents. It's just Ernie and the robot girl, who was one of my favorite parts of the show, but I can't remember her character's name. Oh, it's Judy. Judy. I just randomly remembered. Anyway, they mainly just have the same joke. Like they have one joke about how she's a robot and Ernie like is like, "Oh no, she's actually human." And then the rest of it is just they repeatedly come up and say, "Hey, this happened." And the gang are like, "What?" And then they do that again and again and again. It's a really shitty crossover. It manages to be worse than the Jesse crossover. A fortune teller tells Austin that his comeback tour is going to end badly, and he decides to not perform. Eventually, he does, and it does end a little badly. It's just, I can't even pretend to care about this episode. It's just stupid. That's it. Episode 13 is Burdens and Burnado, where we learn about the musical team Boynado that Trish has been managing. She's mentioned them a few times, but we've never seen them. And she's trying to figure out what the problem is and why they always end up fighting. The music team ends up splitting up for a little bit, and Trish ends up finding out the reason because of Dez of all things. Um, Now the reason they keep breaking up is because one of the members. So they decided to just kick him out of the group, and the group will be much better. And they replace him with a Austin impersonator. I will also say that I don't like the whole Austin impersonator thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but the way that kid is portrayed, he's such an asshole. Like he complains to Austin that nobody's gonna come see him now that Austin's performing again, that he's ruined his career when all he did was like mooch off Austin's career pretending to be Austin. And then he starts to live in Austin's like studio place and tries to redesign the place without Austin's permission, like has crews there to build the place the way he wants it when he's just supposed to be temporarily living there until he gets back on his feet. Like he's such a fucking dickhead. I don't like his character. He's played by Trisha's real life brother, which is cool. Episode 14, they decide to do more with Ellie's dad. He just has become a less part of the show as the show goes on. Like, he really doesn't do that much. But they decided to bring him back and give him a plot point, too. And it turns out, he's dating somebody. But unfortunately, the person he's dating is the mom of a kid that is being rude to Allie. So, he decides to break it off with her. Episode 15 is your typical Halloween special. It's kind of fun. They use a lot of characters. They bring back Brooke, Austin's crazy ex girlfriend, and a few others. And then we find out who the bad person is. And of course, it's Brooke. Who would have guessed? Um, it's a decent episode. Episode 16 is about Allie being rejected from college, so she decides to just be a completely different person now. Because if she can't go to college, what's the point of being a good person? It's it's crazy. She just like decides to fail class, go to school with pizza, sleep in class, not take care of herself, and basically just becomes really really depressed. And then there's like a side plot with Austin and Dez uh wanting to do a car ride that was in like the local store that you put like a quarter in because they had like a dare to do when they were kids and they never finished it. But it turns out that the store isn't actually closing down. It's just an okay episode. There's this little side kid in this episode that's pretty funny that is always like talking shit to Dez and Austin, saying that other people deserve a turn. And eventually Dez decides to be nice and give him all of his change because of the place closing down. But then when he finds out that it's not actually closing down, he tries to take the change back and the kid is just running away. It was pretty funny. Episode 17, Allie isn't allowed to graduate until she returns a missing library book. She realizes that she lent it to Austin, so he has to find it. He does find it, but it gets burnt. And then he tries to order a copy online. I think that's when actually that gets burnt. Uh, with like acid or something in the science lab. Eventually they're able to get the book. It's an okay episode. Episode 18 is about the little girl I mentioned earlier, Lily, who's one of the students Allie is tutoring. Her she like hates Christmas because her dad's not coming home, and they decide to bring her dad home. It becomes harder than they thought, but they find out that Des actually had already got him home, so it was all for nothing, and that Des didn't make an empty promise. It's a pretty funny episode. Honestly, I couldn't really tell you what episode 19 is about. Apparently, the description of the episode says that like everybody else has their life figured out, but Trish doesn't. I don't really remember what she figures out, so I can't really talk about that episode. I'm sorry. It's been like a month and a half since I've watched this season. I'm finally reviewing it now. Episode 20 is apparently also still about Trish trying to find out her next step. I don't really remember the last episode, honestly. I remember they do like a flash forward, and Trish is for some reason dating Chuck now, which I just think is so fucking stupid. They had like no chemistry at all. Like she felt bad for him because he was nice to her in the prom episode, and that was it. But I guess that makes them get back together or something. To I don't fucking know. Weird finale, and they don't treat it like it's like a dream sequence, like it's actually real. And they like do their best to make the gang look aged up. It's it's a weird ending to the show.